So this is the 100 puck challenge for the Bauer. This is actually a Supreme Ultrasonic. It's back here. It obviously looks like an Odin graphic. This was obviously a custom digiprint design I did for my set with my Hyperlight. Well, first ultrasonic pads and then Hyperlight pads. So we're gonna do this test for the 100 puck challenge where we've done it before with the True 12.2 glove, and we've done it with Optik 2 and a JRZ glove as well. So now we're on to this one. So one of the things about this glove that I notice a lot of is how bad closure is on used ones of these gloves. And you can kind of see like it's not a perfect seal, and I've seen people online kind of complain like, oh, this isn't a perfect seal, but it doesn't really have to be a perfect seal in order to actually work right and to close right. Like that isn't perfect on the fingers, but it closes the way it does and you can catch it fine. Like it's gonna do what it's gonna do. This glove is very popular in pros all over the world. Like you can see a ton of guys in the Olympics using it, you can see a ton of guys in the NHL using it. It's honestly a solid glove and it's really good. And it's popular. Like Bauer is obviously really popular and everything, but you definitely do see a lot of people kind of ruining the break on these and just like closing them really awfully, and like you can see used ones stuck like this all the time. This is a Pro Palm and it closes like decent. It's not amazing, but it closes decent. Also, the more wet it gets, the better it closes. So when I use this on like a back-to-back and double header, it's better the second skate because it's wet and it's worked in better. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. This is also one of the best gloves for like faster shots. I have a harder time catching slower shots with this than I do with the faster shots because just the shape of the glove itself works really well in how things work. So we'll talk about that at the end of this video, and we're actually doing it. The kind of interesting thing about when this video happened, I have had a wrist injury in the past where I screwed up my tendons in my wrist, and specifically like from overuse, so I had tendonitis and I had to wear a brace. It went away for like 2 years and it's unfortunately back, so I have to wear a brace now for a little bit while I'm playing hockey just so it doesn't get worse. It's nowhere near as bad as what it was before, and I know what the stretches and like physiotherapy I kind of have to do to make my wrist okay, so it's not nearly as bad as what it was before. But I have like a bunch of gloves I'm trying to review right now, like Miklin gloves and stuff like that. For this is actually the only glove I can really get the brace in without the glove feeling like it's falling off. I've tried every other glove I have. The next closest one is the Miklin C3C glove, which is the same break style as this, but it's just like the inner pieces in there basically make it the glove feel like it's gonna push off. With this, it's open enough that it works well enough with the brace that I have to basically use this glove. So I've used this glove for I think 4 or 5 games now with the brace, and it's kind of interesting because it happened after I filmed all of this video and like the working with this with the puck machine, I guess, which kind of just works out because I have been actually catching quite a bit with this, which is surprising because when I originally did this glove I didn't catch great with it just because the closure wasn't the best and it just like I couldn't get quite used to it enough. But now with this, even with the brace, it's actually doing a pretty good job, so I'm kind of happy I did the bony stuff before that. Now before we jump into the actual watching the puck shooting challenge, if you want to support this channel, support me so I can keep doing real reviews and doing real tests like this one on equipment, please check out the links in the description to Hockey Supremacy if you're in Canada, and Pure Goalie and Pure Hockey if you're in the United States. Links are in the description. Clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback on the sale, so it helps support the channel so I can be doing real content and making more real reviews. Otherwise, check out Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. Links are in the description as well. Everything through all of those links always come back into the channel so I can keep doing tests and stuff like this. It's hard for me to get demo gear and for companies to actually send me equipment to test out. I have to buy everything I really want to look at and take a real look at, or most of the stuff, so it'd be greatly appreciated and be greatly helpful. Oh, that came out. Wow! Oh. Wow! Wow! So to begin this and to call something out really quick, you'll notice I can actually follow the puck into my glove now and track it. I have new lights, which I'm showing off here, so I can actually see things in my basement. Before this, they were just like a standard cheap light bulb, no LED or anything like that, just like super cheap basement garbage light bulbs that you would use. So vision was absolutely trash. I couldn't see anything. So that's why it was like almost impossible to pick up from a puck machine, because in the first place, because of the puck machine, but then with the bad lighting, it made it even worse. Now with this lighting, I can actually pick up the puck and I follow it. So it's not something that I was purposely avoiding in the technique. It's physically wasn't possible for me to pick up a puck. Now it's light, now I can do it. So initial feedback after catching with this the first time, this is the pre-soak time and broken in time. The obvious thing should be how hard it is to close. Now, like... This is a pro palm, but it's hard to close. That's how I almost feel like this thing, you fall back on closing all the time. I like this style of brake, this 600. I use it on my Miklin, I use it on the Optik too. But this glove it's hard to close, and the brake just feels weird. The thumb kind of feels like it's too far away from your fingers when you're trying to close it. And you can kind of close it a bit like that, but doesn't feel super natural, and it's honestly pretty hard to do. Obviously, like I said, this is a Pro Palm, but I have used this glove and it should be more broken in by now, and it's really not. If you don't soak this first, this thing is hard to close like I was showing, and it should be evident in the footage that it's like not super easy to close. And this is easier me doing right now without the gear on and everything, because I can kind of think about it, but it's not easy, and that's not great. As for what pucks do and stuff like this, I think this glove is one of the best at a few things. Or the best, at least I've noticed when using. One is you don't have to close the glove if it hits the pocket. There's a lot in this where you'll see it just going into the pocket and staying in there. This pocket looks absolutely massive when you look at it like this. And honestly, I find pucks stay in there really well. I also find pucks do a pretty good job of staying in the pocket from here. And like around here a little bit, not quite as much, but here, this glove does a good job of anything hitting here kind of just slides in more than bouncing out. And the angle is not like, it's steep enough. It's not crazy flat there, but it's steep enough that it does a pretty good job on that. Protection is okay. It's good enough. Again, Pro Palm, I felt one here on a shot that I probably shouldn't have felt that much, and I have felt shots on this when I'm playing, on shots I don't think I should. It's not terrible, it's just not amazing, but I definitely notice, like I can notice them, especially right here. The reason being is this palm has like such a flat spot there. So here's the thumb part, here's the kind of glove part here, and then there's just this flat spot. So anything that hits that, you can feel it pretty good, and that's where I got it, was basically like I think right down here. And then everything over there is okay. It's definitely better here than it is right there, and just something I noticed. But yeah, closure on this is, I always struggled with it, and it's not great. Even my Miklin 600 type shape, and like, so it's kind of this break, it's harder to close than some other gloves, but it feels good when I'm wearing it. And even if I can't close it, I can close it like that. It catches a lot more than what I've caught with this. But this one is one of those gloves where the harder the shot, I find the more it stays in here, and the slower shots, the ones I find harder to actually hold on to, just because if it doesn't get, like, it doesn't speed into it, it can kind of bounce off easier. But when it speeds up, I find it goes in really, really easy. So this glove closes crazy good, as you can see, after 2 skates, and like being like after 2 skates, it's all wet, it's used, and then it was like closed. So it closes so well, as you can see. It doesn't stay super open unless you really like push it, but it closes amazing, and it's one of the best closing gloves I have after that happens. But once this dries out, that feeling kind of goes away, and that great closure becomes harder to close like it was the first time I used this. With that said, I didn't notice an issue with actually catching in the videos. When I did this, when the glove was easier to close and it closed better, I didn't notice I caught better. It was basically the same. The only real time I would ever notice when I'm like playing that it's better is when it's like a crappy shot, like a slower shot in here, because I'll be able to close it fast enough and quick enough to trap it in here. If it's a faster shot, I don't have the, like, I can't close it as fast enough anyways, and it bounces out quick enough. So that's just kind of what it is. If you get in the pocket and if you actually do it the right way where it's like off here, it goes in regardless. So it's not that big of a difference, and it's not that big of an issue. I've been using this glove a lot, I mentioned, because of the wrist brace I've been wearing, and honestly, I've been doing well with it, and I got to give the glove props. I've been catching pretty well with it now, and I think this bony shooting thing kind of helped me doing and transitioning into that, because in the past, like I said, I didn't catch that great with it. I do feel shots in here all the time. If a puck hits here, though, you feel it, and you feel it pretty good, even if it's not that hard. I find a lot when you're going right above your pad, and it kind of hits right there and just squeezes. Puck generally stays in there, but you can really feel it. It's not comfortable, but the glove does fine, and it does a decent job. With how this glove like kind of funnels pucks to the pocket, and the pocket works so well that anything kind of hits here, stays in there. There's not a ton of things I think you could really change with this glove. I think a few things would be, I understand the curve here. I think, and I almost wish that like this part was softer. So somehow it was only like hard here, and then this part became softer for better rebounds. Because anything that hits here just flings off because of how hard all of that is. And you're gonna have a hard time like getting away from that with gloves. It's gonna be like that for everything. But I'm just trying to like nitpick here and think of what could be a little bit better. Protection here could definitely be better, and protection here could be a little bit better, but it's not bad. I'm not scared when using this palm. I don't ever hesitate that my fingers are gonna hurt or anything like that. It's definitely better than the 12.2 Game Ready. So I gotta give Bauer credit for that as well. The only other thing I could really think that they could change is this thumb kind of position, just because when you close it, you can see how behind it is here. And to me, it kind of makes it awkward. When it's not as broken in like this, it's a lot harder to close, and it ends up like kind of like this. And I think that if this thumb or like this handpiece was brought back more, so the thumb was kind of more in front, that it would be an easier glove to close overall. I'm not sure if that will do anything or fix anything, but from what I can always tell when I'm using this, it always feels like the thumb is a little bit too far back, and it almost needs to like be the whole like shape basically has to be rotated a bit so the thumb would line up better. And that's not even for this lining up. It's just for where the pressure is on your hand and where your fingers are coming from, that it almost feels like your fingers are trying to come out here and your thumb is back here. So it doesn't really line up right. Whereas if this was out here a little bit more, it would kind of just come together a little bit better and a little bit easier. Would like be a pretty substantial change in just how the glove kind of looks and fits and everything. And I don't know if Bauer's going to do it. They have a winner here. This glove is used all the time in the pros. It's used all over the place. It's not just because of Bauer's popularity either. Like, people are using this glove. Now, with that said, gold medal winner Harri Satari for Finland doesn't use this glove and uses a Vaughn either 5500 or 8800. It's close enough to either or. And that glove is basically the similar break angle as this, but it's a different feeling glove pretty considerably. I haven't used one of those in a long time. I loved how it closed, but the one I had was a Game Ready, and it was like a retail one. Wasn't protective enough, but it closed amazing, and I loved that break angle and the feel of it. So there is some people out there that still ditch the Bauer glove for other companies' options like Harri Satari, but it's not like it's a big thing, and Bauer is doing good enough with this glove that I can't see them making massive changes to the overall shape and everything. They have already gone a pretty far way from what their glove used to be. So this was the old Supreme. This was, I think, an NXG. And you can definitely see like the differences of here. This was made by JRZ. This is obviously the new Bauer one, where this thumb is way more sloped and it happened sooner too. So the cuff was flatter, as you can see like right here. So this starts off sloping a lot more. The pocket is way bigger on this one compared to what was on the JRZ, and you can see like just the finger shape is slightly different as well, and this one just scoops nicer as well compared to this one, and the closure on that one is honestly way better. This is like, here's how this glove closes. It's not fantastic, it's not great, and this was a practice palm and it was pulled out, refurbed to become just supposed to be a pro palm, but I can feel shots on it. And it doesn't close amazing, where this one definitely feels a lot more natural and a lot better closing overall. But these gloves, you can definitely see like the similarities with these gloves and kind of where this glove came from. So Bauer has done some small, nice increments overall that end up being a big thing. Like, this wasn't a one glove change from this to this. It happened over a few generations. So I'm interested to see what Bauer does for their like mock line and everything like that. Because this is, like I said, a great glove. It's hard to break in, and it doesn't break in that great unless you really wet it and close it all the time. And it's just what it is. Solid glove overall. I liked doing this video, and I've enjoyed using this glove recently because of my hand brace. It's really the only one that works, and it's been working pretty well for me. It's hard for me to say if this is the de facto like 600 break or 45-degree angle, or whatever people want to call this angle. It's hard for me to say if this was the best one or not. I do like my Miklin. That's a similar angle to this. I found in the past I caught really well with it. This is still fine. And Bauer does a really good job of making their gloves feel really premium with all the materials and stuff they use on that. So they kind of have that as an edge over some other companies. But I mean, you got to try everything on and see how it is. I definitely don't think that they're the best gloves in terms of like being break-inable and being flappy and being protective. They're good, but they're not amazing. But that angle right there is really good. And I haven't had a glove that's been as good as like what that does from watching these shots back and everything. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it was interesting. If you want to see me do a glove test like this, please let me know in the comments. If it's a glove I don't have, let the companies know on social media through like Instagram or Twitter and stuff like that. It'd be helpful for me because I would have to buy them to be able to use this test if I don't get a demo set, and it's hard for me to get demo sets. If you want to support the channel and you live in Canada, check out the links in the description to Hockey Supremacy. If you're in the US, check out Pure Hockey. Clicking the links in the description, making a purchase gives me a kickback so I can do more reviews and make more content like this with the puck machine and everything. We're testing actual equipment. Otherwise, you want to support the channel, check out links to Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. Everything through there, again, comes right back into the channel so I can keep making more content and doing more reviews. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.